A second howdy from Austin. Second day of our pre-program, of course, with some highlights again. And it was also the end of our pre-program. But let's go in order. Let's start with the first highlight. We were at UT, the University of Texas. And we took a look, so to speak, into the engine room of this renowned university. That means, for example, we engaged with the Visualization Center and were able to experience a bit of what they are technologically capable of at UT. And we could somewhat understand why, because this UT has such a good reputation and among other things has Nobel Prize winners and Turing Award winners. So in that sense, we were perhaps able to experience some of the reasons. The second highlight was, of course, the visit to VW and, yes, to experience a bit of how things stand with autonomous driving, because VW is trying to develop a level 4 autonomous ID bus here in Austin, and of course to test and experiment us. And interestingly, by the way, we expected a high-tech center with the highest security level and so on, but it had a real garage feel. That means we experienced a bit of the garage moment, seeing how such an ID bus for level 5 autonomous driving is practically developed in a garage. Level 4 autonomous driving is being developed, and it was quite impressive. 2 points were exciting. Firstly, level 5 autonomous driving seems to be quite far away from us. That means we would really be sitting in the back seat with no steering wheel, no pedals in the car, and so on. That will take a few more years, at least according to the developers at VW. But the second interesting point was, for me, was the realization that he said the cars are currently training very, very intensively. That means they are trying to learn all extreme situations simply to experience and react to them. And of course, to translate that into their AI in order to, as mentioned, learn from it and then make the right deductions in the future. The interesting part, however, was when you compare this to a human experiences such an event or such a phase, once learns from it, and this learning is then available to them, so to speak. In the case of a autonomously controlled car, which is connected via computers with all other cars and all the AIs behind them, it is such that when one car experiences such an extreme situation, it essentially passes it on to the entire fleet. And that is, of course, a multiplied learning, or rather, which is naturally exciting, that essentially all cars then experience this extreme situation and can learn much, much better than, for example, humans in this context. The third highlight was then the visit to Austin FC. And I'll start with the highlight or the top performance of Austin FC, the local soccer club in Austin. They have sold out the stadium 54 times. This is the longest streak, so to speak, that exists in the MLS. This means that Austin is the only team that has filled their stadium 54 times in a row, which has a total capacity of 21,000 people. So far, perhaps not so unusual, because we are familiar with sold-out soccer stadiums in Germany as well. The interesting part comes now. Austin FC was only founded in 2018 and has only been in the MLS, the major league, since 2021. Soccer. And the big question, of course, is why does Austin manage to skyrocket as such a young club and to place and achieve this streak of sold-out stadiums for itself? The reason behind it can actually be wonderfully explained with our Brand Trust WOW model. A wonderful analysis was conducted, so to speak, to then decide, yes, we need a soccer club in Austin. And indeed, they discovered it for themselves using the 3 analytical steps that we also use in our model. The first part of the MOA model is to engage in self-reflection. And they did that as well because behind it is definitely a powerful investor who had a vision and said, yes, I want to make soccer big in Austin. I'll jump to the market first, because behind it were also 3 market analytical decision patterns that ensured Austin FC's skyrocketing success. Firstly, there is in Austin, or Austin is the only major city in Texas, which is also the state capital. Of course, that does not have a professional top sports team. We have in Dallas, in Houston, and also in San Antonio, of course, sports are very, very big, practically all top sports teams. In Austin, it's all missing. That was a fundamental insight. The second is there is essentially no competition here, which naturally favors the possibility of skyrocketing with a professional sports team. And the third point is, when you look at the customers, the potential customers, the Austin population is, of course, incredibly identified with their city here, for example. That means they have a strong identification and have been waiting, so to speak, for a sports club to finally so to speak, for it to transfer to the city here and really say, we stand by the city, we want to make some sport big here. And that means people have actually been waiting for decades for such a decision to be made. And then, so to speak, it became apparent. These three things come together. And in this context, it is one of the success factors why Austin FC, precisely such a strong anchoring and immediately such great success here in the city. And it was, of course, incredibly exciting to look behind the scenes. And it was overall interesting to see how commercialized football fundamentally is, even here. When you look at Germany, we also realize that we are quite happy with how it is in Germany or the German-speaking region, fundamentally that it is not like it is here. But fundamentally, it was interesting to see this contrast, this opposite, and really see how football works here in the USA. So that is definitely a nice conclusion to our pre-program, to our trip here. And tomorrow, the South by Southwest begins. And then it really gets down to business. That means we will be watching lectures galore. And of course, we will be feeding you with fresh inspiration, trends, and the latest insights. In that sense, stay tuned. See you tomorrow.